Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Verse number, we continue from verse number 23, chapter 4. Is this questions today, Bhaskar?
I think some Bala has raised his hand, sir.
Yeah. He has typed some questions.
Okay, sir.
It is today's questions, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Because okay. What? Yeah. A few questions we will take up first. Bala is asking. Number 1. Can a person be combination of multiple gunas, such as sattvic plus rajasic or rajasic plus tamasic, etc.? Can a person be a combination of gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas? All human beings are a necessary combination of all the three gunas. A human being is a necessary combination of the three gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas. The proportion varies from person to person, but all human beings are strictly a combination, meaning all human beings will have all the three. If rajas is not there, action is not possible at all. If tamas is not there, you can't even sleep. You'll have insomnia. So minimum rest you have to take, minimum actions you have to do is the function of tamas and rajas. Therefore, a human being is a necessary combination of all the three gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas. This is answering the first part of the question. Second part of the question, in other words, are these individual gunas strictly mutually exclusive in nature? Are they mutually exclusive? Meaning, are these three distinct and different? Yes, these three gunas are distinct and different. These three gunas are distinct and different, but they coexist. They are mutually exclusive from one to the other. If multiple combinations, third part of the question, if multiple combinations of gunas are permitted, are all permutations and combinations possible or not? Yes, all weird combinations are possible. Because of this permutation and combination, you get sometimes you experience in life a weird, unimaginable combination proportion also. The third part of the question, is all permutation and combination possible? Yes, all permutations and combination is possible. That's what you experience as in weird combination sometimes. Fourth part of the question, can a person fluctuate or switch across these gunas over time? These fluctuations is constantly happening all the time. can a person fluctuate? When the question is asked, can a person fluctuate, as though there is a choice that he doesn't fluctuate. The human being is fluctuating all the time. Only difference is he making an effort to increase the higher guna or the lower guna? Is the proportion changing from the higher to the lower, or the lower is getting more and more intensified? Is the only challenge. But nevertheless, a person is fluctuating across these gunas all the time. If these fluctuations are happening, then what triggers these fluctuations? If these transitions of gunas are possible, then what triggers those fluctuations? That which triggers these fluctuations is raga dvesha. The raga dvesha and the conducive environment. That which triggers the fluctuation is two factors. One is raga dvesha, another is conducive environment. That is why the first spiritual practice is, we always talk about satsang, good association, the good environment, because the environment acts as a trigger. Over a period of time, it changes to something else. So, what is it that triggers these fluctuations of gunas? Is that which triggers the fluctuations of these gunas are of two. One is the environment, the conducive environment. For example, for a person who is an alcoholic, that get triggered in the conducive environment. For a person who is devotional, it gets triggered in that conducive environment. In Bhajagovindam, this is what Shankaracharya said as Sassangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivan Mukti. To attain Jivan Mukta, the starting point, he said, is the good association, because conducive environment triggers that gunas. Like, it is easy to say, like, take a simple example. படிக்கிற குழந்தை எங்க இருந்தாலும் படிக்கும்னா, then we can keep the child at home only, no? We can play music, we can play everything and still ask the child to study. It is not possible. For conducive environment triggers that particular guna. Therefore, it is very important as to what you associate with the first factor that triggers these fluctuations. The second factors that triggers these fluctuations is one's own raga dvesha, one's own likes and dislikes. Sometimes your likes and dislikes will drive you to seek an environment. Sometimes the environment triggers. Are able to understand the difference between the two? One is your likes and dislikes will trigger, your likes and dislikes will drive you to seek that particular environment. Second is the environment itself triggers something. So this is how the transition of gunas happen. Curious to the last part of the question. Curious to know the comparison of the three gunas compared to the Upaveda, which is Ayurveda, as in Vata, Pitta, Kapha and all that. Now, this is not the purview of discussion in this classroom. Independently, I will discuss this with you, Bala. Not in the, because in this session, we restrict it to we restrict it to what is discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. We don't take as a discipline, we will not take anything outside of it, even though it can be still discussed, even though there is an association, there is a connection. But how it works and all that is not that we will discuss now. Independently, I can discuss with you, Bala. Is it okay? Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. It was really clear, very clear answer. Yeah. Not a problem. Yeah. So curiosity, yes. The last one was the curiosity. That's not relevant.
Yes. Yeah. The last one, I know. The last one we will discuss independently. There is a connection, but that we will discuss independently. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks. Good, Bala. There is another question. VT Chapter 8, Personality Chart. The reference is Bhagavad Vedanta Treatise Chapter 8, the Personality Chart. The question is, why are the facets of action analyzed as action is a combination of all these facets? For example, a Rajasic person is Rajasic in all the facets and hence a Rajasic action. Bharat, can you come online and explain this? I couldn't follow exactly what you are saying, because what you have typed is not actually conveying what you want to ask.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Let's assume, I will first give an example so that we can understand this a little wider. Let's assume that there is a Rajasic action performed, where a Rajasic state is a state of fervent actions without any real, we just go through the whole thing with a hurry-burry and all that. Now, if I understand all the other facets which have been given here, for example, a karma action, sorry, not karma, I'm talking about the knowledge, then the actor, the intellect, buddhi, the steadfastness, happiness, and renunciation. So when I perform an action, I'm a Rajasic person, I perform an action, everything is a combination, and then the action comes out, because the whole thing is so desire-ridden. And that is the moolam, or the root cause for this action.
Correct.
So whole analysis is about the root of the problem, which is your action, which is a desire. Now, if I'm able to change the desire from a Rajasic, or move up in the value, and make it more sattvic, then the action becomes so. So everything. So, for example, if I start doing that, my happiness is an outcome. It changes. Renunciation in action, that also changes. My attitude changes. My steadfastness, commitment changes, and so is the case with intellect and so on and so forth. So why is it that there is an individual analysis of these facets in this chapter?
Okay.
It is completely, so if you mathematically, if you speak, action is a function of all these and plus something more, but probably Swamiji has taken a few and analyzed here. So if I analyze, that I don't need to analyze each of them, then I can just go to the root cause of a desire and then say, if it is a sattvic desire, this is what my personality is going to be.
Is it
clarified now?
Now I got the question.
I must learn to write the better question always. I'm finding it very difficult that way. Thank you.
Now, what Bharat is saying is, since in the personality chart all boils down to the desire, why not just to talk about that, rather than talking about knowledge, action, actor, dhriti, happiness, all the whatever the facets is spoken, all that comes from the root of it is the desire. So instead of saying sattvic desire, rajasic desire, tamasic desire, why this kind of analysis is given is the question. Yes. This is what Bharat is asking. Just type Bharat. Did I got you correctly? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I get you correctly, Bharat? The question?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, that is
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
The point is that each of these facets cannot be mutually exclusive.
Exclude.
That's
Yes,
what
correct. Yes. Now, what Bharat is saying is, why this dissection? Why this individual analysis like knowledge, action, actor, whatever is discussed in the personality chart? When it comes to desire, we will never categorize desire as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Desires can never be classified as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Therefore, we cannot, though the whole thing is springing from desire and functions through desire, desires can never be classified. In loose terms, people say this is sattvic desire, rajasic desire, tamasic desire. Strictly, in Vedanta, you will never find desires being classified as sattva, rajas and tamas. Why the desires cannot be classified as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic is because it is the desire, the vasana in the chronology of action. If you remember the chronology of action, vasana, thought, desire and action. It is the vasana that manifests as thought, the thought that drives the thought that solidifies into a desire, and the desire helplessly manifests itself as action. This is the chronology of action. Now, in this chronology of action, whatever be it, it's all driven by a desire. And that cannot be classified as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic, because the very nature of desire, the very root of desire, the very texture of desire is vasana. Another word for vasana is ignorance. So when desire is spoken of from the root of ignorance, there cannot be sattvic, rajasic and tamasic discussion in that. Aspects of life can be taken and discussed as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic from the standpoint of sadhana and tapas. From the standpoint of a person having to do sadhana, from the standpoint of a person having to do tapas to get back, it can be discussed as sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. From the root of it, you cannot call it as from the root. The root meaning the thought itself cannot be classified as sattva, rajas and tamas. Only when only from the standpoint of expression and manifestation, it can be distinguished as these three, the gunas. So that is why if you take an action, vasana, desire is the driving point of action. The gunas determine the quality of the action. Again, in the personality chart, we are not discussing about that which drives the action. We are discussing about that which changes the quality of the person. Again, I repeat, understand it like this. Vasana, desire is that which drives the action. Guna is that which determines the quality of the action is the three gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas. Are you able to follow? In the personality chart, what we are discussing in the personality chart is, what we are discussing is refining the quality. Betterment of the quality is what we are discussing. Since we are discussing the betterment of the quality, what happens is he has taken up the desire, the manifestation of a desire into the various component parts. Having taken the desire into the various component parts, he has made it very clear. So personality chart analysis is very relevant from the standpoint of refinement. Personality chart is relevant only from the standpoint of self-analysis and refinement. And the angle in the personality chart is very relevant. This analysis is very relevant. When you analyze the same thing as the driving force behind action, that is a vasana, which is a desire, that cannot be classified as sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. To put it very simply, ragadveshathula sattvic ragadvesha, rajasic ragadvesha, tamasic ragadvesha alla poda mudiyadhu. We can't classify them like that. Instead of desire, use the word ragadvesha, it becomes very clear. Though technically we keep speaking desire nakokuda, for our in the initial stages of getting the clarity on the knowledge, use the word ragadvesha immediately. Wherever desire comes, use the word ragadvesha. So you cannot have a sattvic ragadvesha, like coming to a classroom and sitting like this. You cannot call it as sattvic. If we call this as sattvic, a person not coming and sitting here by default becomes rajasic or tamasic. Now we can't say that either. Neither can we say all that who are sitting here. Maybe the speaker himself can be very tamasic. Though, I'm not really saying I'm very tamasic. I'm saying that possibility is there where the person speaking can, the speaker himself can be very tamasic in nature. Therefore, when it comes to ragadvesha, this distinction of sattva, rajas, tamas is not analyzed. When it comes to the evolutionary part, when we discuss about how personality must be refined to the higher realm, how the personality must be refined and we have to reach the higher realms, we talk about it as sattva, rajas and tamas. And the personality has to be refinedன்றதுனால, what are the aspects of the personality? Knowledge, action, actor, dhriti, buddhi, all that comes in. What are the aspects of the personality? Personality or aspect எடுத்துன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, the starting point of everything is knowledge. That starting point of it is knowledge. Then comes the that is why personality is first knowledge இருக்கும். Knowledge is the starting point of everything. Followed by knowledge is action. There is the jnanam, there is the karma, and then there is the karta. The karta having the karta does karma having jnanam. Backward la porom. Okay, and the karta nu solliyachina, that karta has a buddhi. The karta uses the buddhi, perform action with the jnanam. Abdi lingu porudhu. The karta uses the buddhi, the dhriti performs action. So all the six part of it is connected. What is the ultimate purpose of doing all this? The jnanam, action, actor, karta, dhriti. What is the ultimate purpose of all this? Sukham. So that Sukham is also an aspect of the personality, which is seen as the end result. That is also analyzed as Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Athoda nipaat irundirkalam. If we had stopped there won't be an issue. He suddenly brings in the Tyaga, the renunciation. And he says the renunciation is also of three types. What does it mean? When the Sattva Guna is increasing, don't misunderstand it through happiness. Understand the rise of Sattva Guna through Tyaga, renunciation. That's where the connection is. Otherwise, if you understand it as just Sukham, to put it very simply, and a moral, ethical person can be a happy person, but he may not be a renunciate. See, to put it, I'll explain that this link is what is very critical here. Are you able to follow till now? Last portion. Why renunciation comes in is it is renunciation that determines whether the Sattva Guna is increasing or not. Even though Sukham seems to be the driving force. Sukham seems to be the driving force. Indulgences within Dharma is enough. Pursue likes and dislikes within a boundary is enough. You don't need to bring in God. You don't need to bring in Brahman. You don't need to bring in all that Vedanta is talking about. Like, you can pursue your likes and dislikes within the boundary of morals and ethics, no? Which is what is misunderstood as leading a spiritual life. A person is pursuing likes and dislikes, but he pursues the likes and dislikes within the boundary of some disciplines. He has some righteousness, he has some ethics and morals, and he tries to fulfill the desires through that boundary, which is misunderstood as spirituality, religion, Vedanta. How to convey the message that is not Vedanta, that is not spirituality all about. How to convey that? He so beautifully brings in the Tyaga, which is unconnected to, or superficially, which seems to be unconnected to all the six. And it is the Tyaga that makes it Vedantic. Therefore, what is the purpose of it? If you have to evolve to moksha, what is the Sukham is not the yardstick. Tyaga becomes the yardstick. And the Tyaga is also, he classifies it as Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Such a how he conceived of it and put it like this is something extraordinary. It is really arrogant of the disciple to say, my guru is great in Radhanala, I don't talk about it that much. But independently, this is something which is very, very, which is extraordinary. For whatever we do, from one angle, whatever we do, whatever we avoid doing, it is for Sukham, it is for happiness. If happiness is the end goal, happiness can be gotten through indulgence, happiness can be gotten through discipline, that happiness can be gotten through moksha. Vedanta, we are talking about happiness that we are going to get through the ananda of moksha we are talking about. not a joy, not the relative joy that a disciplined person experiences in the world. Yesterday also I was briefly touching these three distinctions. How personality chart is relevant, you will understand. The three distinctions of people is, the first category pursues raga dvesha, cutting corners. They will do anything to fulfill their raga dvesha. The first category. The second category of people, they pursue their raga dvesha, but they follow some disciplines in that. They follow some morals, they follow some ethics in that. So to that extent of them following dharma, there is a sukham. There is a happiness for them, which is what we loosely call as punya. Which is what we loosely call as a punya. Because he is having the wealth and he is able to enjoy the wealth because he didn't cut corners. See, imagine a person acquiring wealth. The first category, the first stage, a person is acquiring wealth and he does anything to acquire wealth. And what is the result of, what is the consequence of that acquisition? He is sleepless, he is stressed, he is frustrated. Sukham he is not getting. So, are you able to follow the first example? It's very simple. The second case is, he pursues his raga dvesha under some boundaries. Here, God and all is not necessary. There is no need to bring in God. There is no need to bring in Brahman. There is no need to bring in religion, spirituality at all. He pursues his raga dvesha under some disciplines. What are the disciplines? It's a hard work. I will not steal. I will not cut corners. So I pursue my raga. So I acquire wealth, but that acquisition is governed by a boundary. Because it is governed by a boundary, he will be able to enjoy the wealth that he has acquired. Sukham he will get. In the first case, wealth is gotten, but Sukham didn't get. In the second case, wealth is gotten, Sukham also comes. Idhula enna sir problem? Why can't you just stop here? This is where people stop. Vedanta comes and says, there is something called diminishing value. There is something called very soon you will lose all this and go back to square one, and you have to start all over again. In the chakra, you will not be able to get out of it at all. So here Vedanta comes and talks about the third part. What is the third part? Purpose of life is not fulfilling raga dvesha. Purpose of life is to eliminate raga dvesha. Purpose of life is not fulfillment of raga dvesha. Purpose of life is to eliminate raga dvesha. Purpose of life is to transcend raga dvesha. Since the purpose of life is to eliminate, transcend, Sukham is not the yardstick to measure that. Tyaga becomes the yardstick to measure how much are you getting closer to moksha or how much are you far away from moksha. Though you may be relatively happy. That's why a person practicing some ethics and morals in the world is also a relatively happy person only. Yeah, he is a relatively happy person, but you will not find the tyaga in him. He will enjoy the benefits of that discipline. He will enjoy the benefits of that discipline and very soon exhaust that, and he has to start all over again. Here comes in punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. For an ethical, moral person, understand the difference. One is karma pala, another is karma pala dhata. One is the karma pala. The karma pala means action produces the result. When something is given to you, carefully follow the logic now. Idan karma yoga. Idan the starting point of Tyaga is. When something is given to you, there has to be a giver behind that. That giver is known as Ishvara, God, Self, Atman, Brahman, Vishnu, Brahma, any name you give, doesn't matter. So, what happens is, it's not just morals and ethics, it is the recognition of today people don't like to use the word Ishvara, God and all. They would like to use the word totality. Any word you can use. You can use the word totality. You can use the word God. You can use the word nature. You can use the word. When you are given something, there is a giver. So what do you do in action? You recognize the giver and you are thankful to the giver. When you recognize the giver and when you are thankful to the giver, what happens? The kartrutva goes, the doership goes, the arrogation becomes less and less and less. Are you able to follow? Recognition of the Ishvara as the giver is starting point of Tyaga.
Amazing.
Illanna, I will think I am the doer, no?
Yes, correct.
And the Ishvara kondu varlanna, that's why a person in the world who follows ethics and morals will be a very egoistic person. Because he says, I am the doer. Correct. It is my actions have gotten me this result. Why are you unnecessarily bringing in இதுதான் அந்த வேதாந்த ethics and morals karma pala பேசுற வரைக்கும் it is logical, sir. But why are you unnecessarily bringing in a karma pala?
Karta, data.
Kartrutva goes down. Data. And the data என்றவர் வந்தாதா, the karma pala data, when we bring in understanding, what goes out? Kartrutva goes out. Appada Tyaga comes in. That is the connection.
Okay.
Are you able to follow? Are you able to follow?
It's a very enlightening. I have to do a lot of manana on this because so many things you have given.
Yes.
But the connection is amazing. Very brilliant. I couldn't follow that renunciation, honestly speaking. I could not even follow because there was all outcomes. So I'm thinking, why analyze an outcome? It seems to be a post facto.
Correct.
That is the reason my question came up that way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Right. No. Bharat was just saying how the explanation was good, that's all. Karma pala, you don't need an Ishvara. That's why in the world morals and ethics, people come and tell me also, people tell you also, sir, idallam theriyame I was practicing Vedanta, sir. People say no. Even without knowing it is Vedanta, I am practicing Vedanta. It is impossible. It is not true. Without Shastric knowledge, without having exposure to Shastra, you cannot practice it. Because it is Shastra that comes and says, there is something called karma pala dhata. Ethics and morals, if you are a thinker, even if you have the basics of thinking, you will know that it is your actions that gotten you this. Are you able to follow? It is your actions that has gotten this. And this action, I do it with some morals and ethics. This action I perform with some discipline. Avladha. But on that which is given to me, that which is given to me means there is a, if something is given to you, it implies that there is a giver. And the giver ngarthukku or pair kudukanum. Some name has to be given to that. You can call it God, you can call it totality, you can call it nature, you can call it Brahman, you can call it Ishvara. The orthodox Vedantic word is Ishvara. Ishvarana Lord Shivana Nanchakadinga. It's a name. No, why not Christ, why not that? It's not that. Ishvara is the name given to the karma pala dhata. So you start developing gratitude to that. When you start developing gratitude, what goes out? Kartrutva goes out. Gratitude illama kartrutva pogave pohad. Now, how to bring in this gratitude? Karma pala dhata. Be grateful to that. When you are grateful, the kartrutva goes down. When kartrutva goes down, you are practicing. It implies that you are practicing tyaga, you are practicing vairagya, you are practicing renunciation. Because what is renunciation? Renunciation is relinquishment. No. What do you relinquish? You relinquish the doership. Yeah, Karma Yoga is nothing but relinquishing the doership. This is the connection. Is it okay, everyone? Yeah. Now there is another question. Question from Meera. She is asking, quote, the question, quotes, I ask a question because I want to know, a function of ego. I want to know, which is a function of ego. Therefore, I ask a question. What drives the question of an Upanishadic student who has Shraddha? What is the intent or basis of that student's questioning? Is it also to know? Abdinna, then how these two are different? Are you able to follow the question? Now is the question clear? Now I am getting into the answer. The answer is, when an Upanishadic student wanting to know, when he asks a question, in that question there is a vinaya, there is a humility, there is this attitude of wanting to transcend the ego is there. In the worldly knowledges, when you ask a question, that knowledge strengthens your ego. Here, the Upanishadic student asks a question to eliminate his ego. In all other knowledges, the question that you ask and you get an answer, that answer adds up to your existing knowledge. There you say the intensity of ego becomes stronger and stronger. The strength of the ego gets more and more in all worldly knowledges. When an Upanishadic student asks a question, that question is driven by not wanting to know anything that he has already known. That Upanishadic student wanting to know because all that he has known, he understands as ignorance. It is not adding up to that existing knowledge. He has realized that what I know is Ajnanam, ignorance. In the Mundaka Upanishad, Shaunaka goes and asks Angirasa. That's where you get the distinction of para, apara and all that. Tatra para rigvedo, yajurvedo, samavedo, atharva vedaha, siksha kalpo, vyakarno, nirukto, chando, jyotishamiti. This. In another Upanishad, Narada goes to Sanat Kumara and asks question. Sanat Kumara asks him, what do you know? Tell me, what do you know? Because if you say, I really don't know, that makes no sense, because you already know something. So, Sanat Kumara asks Narada, tell me, what do you know? And Narada lists out what all he knows. Tatra parara, he doesn't say Tatra para Rigveda, Yajurveda. He says, I know Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarna, Nirukta, Chandas. Attoda he doesn't stop. We say 64 types of vidyas, no? 64 types of knowledges we have. Aya Kalaiha Larubatti Nanginayum, we say, no? What is the list of that 64? Narada gives that list. Narada on the list to Kudukulanda, we wouldn't have even known what that is. Narada gives that list. All this I know. But knowing all this, I have not known that which needs to be known. These 4 Vedas I know. These Vedangas I know. And the 64 types of Vidyas also I know. But knowing all this, I didn't know what I need to know. You follow? Upanishadic student comes and asks a question with this bhavana, with this attitude. Shivajnanam, follow. I am answering bhavana. The Upanishadic student comes and asks a question with this attitude. The intent of questioning is not to add to the existing knowledge, is to say, what I know is ignorance. How do you say what you know is ignorance? That's where the question comes. That's where they ask the most profound question. The Upanishadic questions are the extraordinary question. See, look at that man's penetrative capacity even to come and ask that question. What is that knowing? What is knowing that one thing by which I know everything? What is that knowing? Eyes are seeing, but what is it that makes the eyes to see? Look at that person's penetration. The amount of knowledge he has, and then he comes and asks this question. What is the question? All that I know is ajnanam. All that I know is ignorance. Because I have not yet known that one thing by which everything is known. Rama asked this in Yoga Vasishta. Rama asks in the congregation. He comes to the congregation and asks, is there anyone who knows the answer to my question? And you can't give a textbook answer to Rama. Yeah. The Mari Zoom class you can't give an answer to Rama and escape. For his penetrating capacity is far, far deeper. He has known everything. Yeah. He has already studied under Vasishta Gurukula. He studied under Vasishta. he has gained all the knowledges from Vasishtha himself. And then he comes and asks, is there anyone who has the Anubhava? According to Vedanta, knowing means Anubhava. Knowing is becoming. Brahman, there is consciousness, Tattvamasiன்றதெல்லாம். Don't talk like this. Is there anyone who has known it? Newspaper will come and ask this question. Even a newspaper reporter will ask this question. Are you a self-realized person? No self-realized person will answer this, because he knows this fellow is not good. He is not ready to risk his life to pursue this. It is just a curiosity. Are you able to follow? When the Upanishadic student comes and asks, it's not a question of curiosity. It is not a question of just a superficial interest. He is ready to let go of everything to get there. The intent is this. The intent is this. And Shraddha he has. Any number of times you can hear about the Shraddha and you can still keep hearing. The Shraddha Patti Nipatrathukku avashyame illa. You can go on and on and on, week after week after week talking about Shraddha only. But ஒரு வெரைட்டி வேணுமேன்றதுக்கோசரம் மாத்தி மாத்தி ஏதோ பேசின்னு இருக்க வேண்டியிருக்கு, அவ்வளவுதான். Otherwise you will say, sir, இதெல்லாம் ஆல்ரெடி தெரியுமே எங்களுக்குன்னா, what do we do? Shraddha, one of the extraordinary quality is this Shraddha. What is the Shraddha with which he comes and asks? The Shraddha with which he comes and asks is this. What is the Shraddha? All that I know has not helped me in knowing anything. So teach me that which is impossible to know. What will help you there? It's only Shraddha. So what is the Upanishadic student has the Upanishadic student only has this Shraddha. He only has this Shraddha. What is the Shraddha? The Shraddha of pursuing that which is beyond one's ability to comprehend, beyond one's understanding. How can you pursue that which is beyond your understanding? That is where people in the world stop with morals and ethics. Self-realization, appuram paakalam sir, Brahman, God alone, we'll see later. First, let me have a good life. First, let us have a decent life, proper life. Self-realization, God alone, we'll see later. Because they are the inability to pursue that which is not, that inability to pursue that which is not comprehensible. Upanishadic student has that. So, his question has that Shraddha backing it. The intent behind that question is this. What is the intent? The intent is not adding up to the existing knowledge. இது வரைக்கும் இவ்வளவு படிச்சாச்சு. Now let me gain something. Let me add up to my existing knowledge. Let me gain something more. That is not the intent. The intent is removal of ignorance. Why he says that is because all worldly knowledges are ignorance ultimately. You may not agree with Vedanta. People may not agree when Vedanta says this. Ultimately, all worldly knowledges are ignorance only. Because you want something and you end up getting something else. Like I was telling Bharat before, you want wealth, but you end up getting agitations. You want a job, but you end up getting stressed about that job. You want a family, but that family starts giving you worry and anxiety. You want to have children and their disobedience causes frustration. So, on the one hand, in the world, it looks like you know what you want. On the other hand, you do not know what you want. Upanishadic student comes with this and asks a question from this angle. Are you able to follow? Again, I repeat, there's something very, very meaningful. Bharat என்ன பிரைஸ் பண்ணி என்னோட ஈகோவை பூஸ்ட் பண்ணி விட்டாரா, அதனால இன்னைக்கு கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கிளாஸ். When you pursue something in the world, Vedanta comes and says it is all ignorance. Why they call it as ignorance? Because you think you know this is what it is. And then you end up getting exactly that which you wanted to avoid. That's ignorance. Again, I repeat. In the world, you end up getting that which you don't want. That's ignorance. You want wealth for security and you have wealth and end up feeling more insecure. You want to move in a big house and you end up saying, I'm not able to maintain it. Yeah, you want something and you end up getting that which you what did I say? You end up getting don't reply. I'm just wanting you to remember and say it back. Avladhaan enak theriyum what I said. Sivagyanam. I remember what I said. It is called ignorance because you end up getting that which you didn't want to. You want to live a long, healthy life and you start indulging. You start indulging and you want a healthy, long life, which is not. So, all pursuits in the world boils down to ignorance. Nobel Prize Vangana, sir? Yes. He has earned thousands and thousands of crores and he has given employment to millions of people and millions of families are benefited by that. Adum ignorance, huh? Vedanta says, yes. It may be difficult for us to accept and digest. That is because of our limitation. The knowledge is still the same. So, what is the Shraddha of the Upanishadic student? The Upanishadic students comes with the question of saying, all along in my life, I thought I knew what I wanted. With such a conviction, I thought I knew what I wanted and I pursued that. And I ended up getting exactly what I didn't want to. Wealth irundha security varun, I was chasing wealth and acquiring wealth, then I realized that the very acquisition has brought in a lot of predators, the very acquisition has brought in a lot of insecurity. Like in the Bhajagovindam, he said, you will fear your own son. He said, no. Artham anartham bhavaya nityam nasti tatashuka lesa satyam putradapi dana bhajam vitihi. The wealthy fear the son. But you didn't acquire wealth knowing this. You thought something else will happen, but ended up getting something else. Upanishadic student comes with this understanding. What is it? I don't know what I want. That's ignorance. What is ignorance means? I don't know what I want. I have given this any number of times. In the book, The Fall of Human Intellect, there is one topic. Nobody knows what they want, he writes. Million times I would have mentally remembered that. Nobody knows what they want, meaning ignorance. So when an Upanishadic student asks a question, it's not the function of ego. When Janaka asked this question, am I the dreamer or am I the waker? It's not the question of ego there. It's a question of something which is very profound there. How are these two different? In the first case, the question is, how are these two different? I'm summarizing the answer. In the first case, it is adding to the existing knowledge. In the first case, it is adding up to the existing knowledge. In the second case, it is the recognition that all that I know is ignorance. In the first case, the wanting to know is for making life better. In the Upanishadic case, it is not about wanting to make life better. It is about wanting to know the transcendental. When we say wanting to know the transcendental, see, we are also coming and sitting in this classroom wanting to know the transcendental. No. What is the difference between that wanting to know and this wanting to know? In our case, we are not ready to let go of very many things for that. In the case of Upanishadic student, he is ready to let go of everything for that. That's the difference. We are also wanting to know. That's why we are sitting in this classroom. Are you able to follow? In the Madhuri category of people, he says practice karma yoga. Who wanting to know the transcendental, but not yet willing to let go of many. What can they do? Do karma yoga and mature. The Upanishadic student has already done this karma yoga and gotten to this state. Are you able to follow? Are you able to follow? Meera. Therefore, the question is fundamentally different. Lastly, is it okay, Meera? I finished answering. Yeah?
Sir?
Yeah. Yes.
So when you were explaining now, you talked about two things. One is the Upanishadic students' willingness to let go of everything.
Yes.
To know the transcendental, which is a state of being highly inspired.
Yes.
And the second thing is knowing that whatever he knows is useless.
Yes.
Or ignorance, and there is
Yes.
something that is unknowable out there.
Yes.
Which Does that translate into a combination of wonderment and inspiration that you keep saying? Are these two factors the one that is at work?
No. Meera is bringing in the Ascharya part, the wonderment part. Now don't bring that in. That is an entirely different. Don't connect too many things.
Okay.
Don't connect all that here. That Ascharya part and all has got nothing to do with this.
Yes, sir.
Here, the Upanishadic student wanting to ask the question about Brahman, when he says, I want to know, what he means by wanting to know is to experience that whatever you ask me to do, I am willing to do. Now tell me what to do. That is the Upanishadic student. A seeker who is not an Upanishadic student is also interested in the transcendental. Like any one of us is interested in the transcendental. That is why week after week after week, years together, decades together, we are still coming. We are also interested in the transcendental, but the difference is in the Upanishadic student, he has reached the stage where he is ready to let go. I would even punctuate myself and say, I wouldn't even say even to ready to let go. He has let go of everything and come. He has let go of already everything. Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam comes with that folded hands. Comes with that folded hands and asks. And comes with the folded hand and asks. What does he ask? I have let go everything. What is there? I do not know. Is there anybody here who? Do you know it? And the student textbook answer escape agudiyadhu. You can't give a textbook answer to such a person, for he has evolved to a very high level. That's where you find in the Upanishad, when Shvetaketu goes and asks this question, Shvetaketu comes back. I gave the story. If you remember, I gave the story. Shvetaketu comes back after education. He comes back like a stamba, like a post. He's like a stick. He's coming back erect. Humility varla. He's coming back with that arrogance of I know. I am superior. Why I am superior? Because ordinary knowledge, I know the Shastric knowledge also. Double ego now. Shvetaketu, the father, looks at him and says, you have wasted your time in the Gurukula. He said, what a waste, for you have come back exactly like how you went. But Shvetaketu is showing the gold medal. He's saying, see the gold medal. How can you say I don't? No. He says, did you know that one by which you know everything? Shvetaketu says, I don't know. Go and ask the teacher. Shvetaketu comes back and asks the teacher. The teacher says, I myself don't know the answer. Look at the teacher there. I myself don't know the answer. If you know somebody who knows the answer, tell me. We both will go to that man. Shvetaketu comes back and tells the father, my teacher said, I don't know. Do you know? Father says, I know. And he immediately prostrates. That prostration is the indication of recognition of ignorance. See, that is why prostration is a recognition of one's own ignorance. As the prostration symbolizes. It's not just a cultural practice that you prostrate. Prostration is a recognition that you are ignorant. And Shvetaketu prostrated, and the father taught him. And what the father taught him? The entire Vedanta, the father taught him. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. You follow? That's the Upanishadic student. That's the Shraddha. That's the Shraddha. What is the Shraddha? The capacity to pursue, though my senses, my mind, those around me, everybody is saying something else, convincing me that I am on the wrong, that I am on the wrong path. Start pursuing the higher, the entire world will gang up together and they will say, what you are doing is wrong. Start pursuing the higher, you will experience what I am saying. Suddenly everybody will get together and they will say, what you are doing is wrong. In the world you pursue, there will be two goshtis, there will be two groups. One group will say what you are doing is right, another group will say what you are doing is wrong. In the worldly pursuit, in the rendu goshti eppodume irukum. One will say what you are doing is right, another will say what you are doing is wrong. Are you able to follow? The moment you pursue the higher, and the rendu goshti will become one. And they will say what you are doing is wrong, what you are doing is waste of time, what you are doing has no meaning. You will not pesi they will brainwash you, they will confuse you. Don't get closer to such people. They will immediately join together. And the highest pursue panuna, you need Shraddha. And very few has Shraddha. The distinct feature of Upanishadic student is Shraddha. சரியா? Is it okay, Meera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll take up the last one and then we conclude for today. Shivajnanam. What is the role of Bhavana in spiritual growth? Bhavana means attitude. Bhavana means the right attitude. We say, whatever you do, do it with Bhavana, no? One is not doing anything. Another is doing it lackadaisical. Third one is doing it with Bhavana. What is the role of Bhavana in spiritual growth? It is Bhavana that brings in the element of spirituality itself. Otherwise, it is just a disciplined, consistent action. That's all. It is Bhavana. Bhavana means the devotion. Bhavana means the devotion. And it is the devotion that makes anything spiritual. Without Bhavana, it is just a disciplined action. Are you able to follow? Without Bhavana, efficient action, robo, machine. Machine does efficient action, but it doesn't have the Bhavana. So only when Bhavana comes, it turns spiritual. Now, Bhavana means the Bhava. Bhava means the emotion, the Bhakti. So what is the role of Bhavana in spiritual growth? To rephrase a question. What is the role of bhakti in spiritual growth? Bhavana, the bhava, the emotion, what makes it spiritual? When a person is singing, we say, or bhava thoda parrar, we say, no. What does it mean? He has the skill. The tala is correct, the tuning is correct, the shruti is correct, everything is correct, but he may be just entertaining you. He may be just an entertainer. He may sing Chakkani Raja, but he may not feel the bhava of Chakkani Raja inside. He may sing Nitichala Sukama, but he may not feel that Nitichala Sukama inside. Are you able to follow? We say he is an entertainer, lacks bhava. The same tala, the same shruti, the same everything, and bhava also is there. Na? Something is stirred inside. Something is churning inside. Something transforms you from inside. That is what spiritual growth is all about. Bhavana is very, very meaningful there only. Are you able to follow Sivajnanam? That is the role of bhavana in spiritual growth. Bhavana means emotion. Bhavana means bhava. Bhavana comes from the root word bhava. Bhava means emotion. Mechanically you can do. With bhava you can do. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
You can cook mechanically, you can cook with bhava. That is why in the modern day language they say, do it with emotion, they say. No? What is doing it with emotion means? Do it with bhava, that's what it means. Opposite of that is doing it as a burden or doing it lackadaisical. Are you able to follow? Bhava means the devotion. Bhava means the emotion that you bring into the doing. If bhava doesn't come in, it's just an ordinary mechanical disciplined doing. It is bhava that brings in the flavor of spirituality to it. Without bhava, the flavor of spirituality won't be there. It will be just a very, very good disciplined fellow doing something. You follow?
Yes, sir.
What the role of bhavana in spiritual growth is all about. Seriya, Sivajnanam?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Ganesh, you have to keep waiting. Yajna varaporadilla nenikiren.
We'll get it in the audio class, we'll get it in direct class.
Yeah. With this we conclude for today, and we meet next Sunday. We'll continue with the verse 23 of chapter 4.